Welcome to Bite Size Bios. This is meant to be a mini-sode that will accompany HDTH. Every week, I will pick a person from history and dive into their lives. All right, welcome back to another episode of Bite Size Bios, BSB. This is episode 10. We're going to be covering Jeff Bezos. Before we get into old Bezos, or as we'll learn, he originally went by a different name. We'll see if there's anything to wrap up about the last episode, which was about Christmas. Well, it was about wreaths, not actually about Christmas wreaths. It was about as Christmassy as I think I intend to get this Christmas season. I didn't really even. What I thought was interesting, or what I liked about it, was the fact that we learned that the wreaths were originally worn on the head, and I never really thought about that until I did the research. But you've watched older movies like the Romans or whatever, and all like we covered, and that really was the first idea of a wreath, which we said, of course, was called a diadem. I didn't know that word at all either. I thought it was a pretty informative episode. I think these HTTHs are getting better as they go. I'm trying to get these BSBs off the ground, these bite-sized bios, but I don't know. I'm trying to find interesting people to profile. I'm trying to find people that are not getting that I don't think are getting profiled as much as I would like to see out in the world. But I don't know if there's anything else really to say about the wreaths before we get on with it. I don't know if I normally do what I'm watching. I don't think I do on bite-sized bios, but why not? Since as I've been told, I guess I watch a lot of TV, which I always have. It's always been a part. I was always afraid I'd be a couch potato. Honestly, my parents were always afraid of it because I consume a lot of media. I really do. I always have. So right now I'm watching Wheel of Time on Amazon, and you know what? It's pretty good. I'm not even really into that stuff, like Middle America and like Lord of the Rings type stuff and all that. I'm not into it. And the way I found it, honestly, I was one night I couldn't sleep, so I decided to just put it on, but I wasn't gonna watch it. I was just gonna listen to it and hope that it was honestly gonna be boring enough to put me to sleep, right? And so I listened to the entire season. Didn't look at it once, or maybe once or twice, but like literally just like listened to it. And then I was like, you know what? And then was awake the whole night still because I was actually interested. But then I was like, I'm gonna watch it now, and so I'm watching it. So it's a different experience to have listened to 8 episodes, and now I'm watching those same 8 episodes. But it's definitely really good. I would recommend it. Don't think there's much else to say. Hope everybody's having a happy holiday, and if you're not, I understand, man. I've definitely been there and have those feelings as well. But I hope everybody's having a good holiday. Without further ado, here is the episode on Jeff Bezos. All right, so today we're going to be talking about Jeff Bezos. Old Jeff Bezos. I thought this is going to be a good one. It's I didn't know much about him. All the regular stuff that they put. He got money from his parents, and he started a books store online. But we're gonna actually dive into who Jeff Bezos the person is. So Jeff Bezos was actually born Jeffrey Preston Jorgensen in Albuquerque, New Mexico, on January the 12th, 1964. His parents were named Jacqueline and Theodore Jorgensen, and they were only married about a year. Jorgensen is a Danish name, but let's see here. Bezos' mother actually got pregnant with him while she was still in high school, and like I said, they were only together for about a year, and then they actually divorced. I think there was some sort of marital issues, but then not too long after that, she meets a guy by the name of Miguel Bezos. Right, so that's where we get the Bezos from. Jorgensen. To me, no offense to people named Jorgensen. Jorgensen doesn't sound like a guy worth $200 billion. It just, Bezos got that ring to it, And Miguel Bezos, is it Bezos or Bezos? I think it's Bezos. Bezos. Okay. But yeah, Miguel Bezos, he escaped to the U.S. from Cuba when he was about 16 years old and did not speak any English at the time, and worked his way up and went to school, and then met Jacqueline, his Bezos' mother, and so they got married. And once they got married, of course he accepted his name, his last name, and that's how we get that, the Jeff Bezos we know and love. Okay, and so this is talking about Bezos' relationship with his actual biological father, and so it says here basically he's been out of his life for his whole life, and that when this guy named Brad Stone interviewed the actual, Jorgensen guy, asked him if he knew anything about his son. He said he really didn't know, had anything about how famous and rich he had become. So the guy was really outside of his life. And so once we got Miguel, we got Jacqueline together, and old Jeff makes three. The family moved from New Mexico to Texas, where Jeff's new dad, old Mike, Miguel, he would work as an engineer once he graduated college. And they would be there for a while, but specifically they were in Houston. But Bezos has connections to Texas. His mother's family has connections to Texas. They own a fairly large ranch in Texas. That actually, when Jeff, when old Bezos got older, he bought it and expanded on it. I think it was like 25,000 acres, and he expanded it to like 300,000 acres. Like, I mean, it was some real Yellowstone stuff. But yeah, so they were in Houston for a while. During the time and throughout his whole life, Jeff has always displayed scientific interest and technological proficiency. He once rigged an electric alarm to keep his younger siblings out of his room. It just sounds like some real 80s stuff to me. When he was a teenager, he worked at McDonald's for just like a summer, and then actually, I think after doing that, he disliked it so much that he created what he called the Dream Institute, which, depending which article you read it kind of almost sounds like a not a scam, but that he didn't want to do like regular work, like work at McDonald's. So he was like, let me figure out a way, because what they did at the Dream Institute was, I guess, like teach like younger kids to like prepare them for like, I don't know, the future. And the reason it seems weird to me is like, I don't know if I'd do that if I had a child. I'm not going to pay another child to teach my child. I'm going to pay an adult. You know what I mean? I don't know. So like, I wouldn't do that, but I don't have kids. So, my opinion really doesn't matter. But so the family moved from Texas out to Florida, and that's where actually old Bezos went to high school. Let's see. He was a high school valedictorian. Let's see. In his graduation speech, he told the audience he dreamed of the day when mankind would colonize space, and he actually is really into that idea. And we'll do more work on that with a company I believe it's called Blue Origin, or we're going to get to it a little bit further down. Let's see. And after he graduated high school, he went to Princeton, which I did not know that, but it's like, it makes sense when you look at these guys. Not all these, but a lot of these really successful guys, like they went to really good schools. They just did. And you look back like, oh, he went to Princeton. I bet people in his class, they may not be worth $200 but like, I bet they're doing okay too. Maybe not all of them, but some. Initially, he was a physics major when he went to Princeton, but he found that program to be too difficult, so he changed to computer science and electrical engineering. He graduated in 86, summa cum laude with a 4.2 GPA, one of those two majors that I just mentioned. And once he left college, he worked on Wall Street, and he worked for businesses like Fidel, I think maybe it is, Fidel, I think it's Fidel, Bankers Trust, and the main one he worked for the longest, which was the investment company D.E. Shaw. And he became D.E. Shaw's youngest vice president ever in 1990 after 4 years working there. And actually, not long after that, he would actually leave the company, but while he was there, that's where he met his ex-wife, or wife, which I don't know how you phrase that. But they met. She was working there as well, and so yeah, when he left to go start his company, she came with him. So in late '93, right around then, was when they say Bezos really got the idea for Amazon. After reading some articles and seeing some things that say the internet is just growing at an exponential rate, and he just wanted to get involved. And so he and his then wife Mackenzie Scott, like I say, left their jobs, and they founded Amazon in Bellevue, Washington, on July 5th, 1994, after writing a business plan and all of that good stuff. See, prior to settling on Seattle, so I suppose Bellevue is maybe a suburb of Seattle. I'm not actually sure. I've never been, but Bezos had investigated setting up his company on an Indian reservation near San Francisco to avoid taxes, and that is actually a really interesting idea. Just to hear that kind of cues you into how a guy's mind works, if that's the way he's thinking. And I was actually watching a documentary on Amazon and its creation, and they do actually say one of the larger, I guess, positive points or pros, if you will, for Amazon compared to the normal brick and mortar bookstores when they first started, was the fact that they didn't charge people sales tax. So like, taxes have always been on this guy's brain, and if you can control the taxes, which is true, you can probably do all right in the world. So yeah, initially when Amazon started, the company, it did really well as far as like it was making sales. In 2 months, the sales reached 20,000, and they just kept growing. Interestingly enough, though, the company wouldn't turn a profit for I think almost half a decade. But an interesting, way that they ran their whole business model was just to just reinvest all of their stuff, I suppose, and then just take up. Their idea was to take up market share and really just show people that they can be, the standalone book seller, and by doing that, they weren't making any money. Let's see. So he came up with the name Amazon. He first thought of calling it Cadabra, and they even said, I think he was saying relentless.com. But he settled on Amazon because I think it's the largest river in the world, and also because it starts with A. And back at that time, the website listings were usually alphabetized, so a name starting with A would appear sooner than other customers during the searches, or sooner than other businesses during the searches. So it was kind of like a way out. This guy really has, when you really realize, while he has this whole idea of wanting to conquer the world, which they say he's always had. As far as like not conquer the world, but just like really just to have his Amazon be a sort of fully all-encompassing sort of like website that could tell you everything. I kind of lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? I don't know. Just disappeared. Okay, well, moving on. So, let's see. So, yeah, he started it in 94. 94, 95? Let me look back here. 95. 3 years later, they take it public. He becomes a millionaire in 97 once they take it public. And crazy enough, he becomes a billionaire like 2 years later. There's not much, more. Now we're kind of into like the more modern part. There's a lot you could say about Amazon because but as far as him specifically, he has 4 kids. 3 of them are biological. 1 is adopted from China. Like we all know he's divorced from his wife now and is with some, what's her name? I didn't even get her name for this because I don't know. I'll get her name. Google break. Taking a break to Google. Google break. Taking a break to Google. Lauren Sanchez, that is her name. And the reason I think that I just didn't feel it necessary is because, I don't know, like I wouldn't do it with any real celebrities. He's what they're dating. It's his girlfriend. It's just not worth really mentioning. I think like I wouldn't mention somebody else's boyfriend or girlfriend in their family or personal life because to me that stuff just changes so fast or as possible. I'm not wishing anything on anybody. I'm gonna get a few more key points on him and then we'll be up out of here as far as the BSB goes for this week. Thank you guys for listening. So they released the Kindle on Amazon, and that was a big thing. Let's see. He has a contract. I'm not sure if he still has it with the CIA, which I didn't actually know that until I was doing this research. That's pretty wild. Because you do see Amazon everywhere. Like I watch a lot of sports. You see like the Amazon's even in the sports. Like we even like with some of the replays is all like done by Amazon. You're just like, what? But yeah, so in 2000, in the year 2000, he created a company called Blue Origin, which is an aerospace company, and they're still going now. They actually do a lot of work with NASA and do go up in space. Also, let's see, in 2013, he bought the Washington Post, which I've known that for a long time, and I thought it was kind of cool. I just think as somebody for me who loves, I grew up I went to school for journalism, so the idea that I could just buy a newspaper is a pretty cool idea. I've never really thought about it, but if you got enough money, you can. Another fact, let's see here, he was one of the first shareholders in Google, and he invested $250,000 in 98, and that $250,000, I think in 2017 was worth $3.1 billion. That's a lot of money. He does not own that much of Amazon as he used to. He owns about 10% of the company now. But yeah, I think that's probably all I really have to say about Jeff Bezos. It's just going to be a quick bio. Was really more interested in about him as himself separated from the company, and it's hard. I've said it before, to do these people that are still alive because the jury is still out, as on people who are still alive. The world doesn't truly know how they feel about them yet. But yeah, that's it for Jeff Bezos' BSB. Okay, that was Jeff Bezos. We learned about the fact that his original name was Jorgensen, or Jeffrey Jorgensen. Just just rolls off the tongue. But yeah, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you in a couple days with the with the How Did That Happen episode. And then if you want any extra, HDTH, can't get enough, head over to hdthappen.com, where you'll see all the transcripts and blog posts about, various things that I write about. All right, see you guys in a couple days.